Just before we start the film, there is a warning that I want to give out, and that warning is that if you are offended by scenes of sexual assault or have any problems with that whatsoever, I would suggest maybe not listening to this commentary track or watching this film, though chances are, if you are listening to this commentary track, you have already seen the film. Thank you very much for watching this film, or listening to this commentary track, my apologies. So in 3, 2, 1, we will begin. So, of course, the film starts with warnings that these are all fictional events. We then get the towing company logo popping right up on the screen. Again, it's a nice logo. I do like the fact that you get shots of the ocean. And of course, we open up with the flag raising on the pole as it's a beautiful day in the jail. And of course, we address the prisoners for safety and harmony. And of course, it seems like they have a special guest joining them today. So this seems to take place about 27 years after the events of World War II, which would put us at 1971, if my math is correct. And it looks like there's a prison break to start everything off. Perfect timing, as it looks like every guard was busy with something. And of course, there's all the stepping on this special parchment, which is just perfect. And it looks like the prison conditions aren't that good. As you can see, they're kind of caged together. It looks like maybe about 7 per cell, which seems way too many. And here we have the escapees running out. They seem to have thought that this would have been the perfect time, even though it is broad daylight. But hey, they have large cover of grass here. And it looks like one of them is fully prepared for this run. The other one, maybe not so much. Of course, we have the guards with their guns out and dogs. Quite the scary situation we have here, because dogs can run faster than humans. Of course, the dogs are on leashes at this point, so it wouldn't be too much of an issue. But it seems like one of them is starting to become very fatigued. So perhaps maybe the escape isn't quite going as planned, as it seems like the prisoner up in front is somewhat concerned for her partner in crime. And as you can see here, she just can't continue. So we find out that this character is Yuki. And one thing that I would possibly like to point out is that in the series, this is the one where she speaks the most out of the 4, and it looks like either Yuki is on her period or she's been stabbed. Of course, the blood is a great giveaway for their location. So now that the dogs have the scent, they will unleash the dogs upon the prisoners and then split up to try to find them. It must be terrible to run while on your period. Like I said, this is quite the grindhouse film. And here we have the dogs attacking the two. And I'm not sure if this kills the dog, but she is going rather ham on this poor pupper. And then they continue to run. Of course, this is also a very somewhat brutal film, but this restoration is simply fantastic, I must admit. And like, it is incredible for such a low budget film from the 70s to look this good. It's fantastic. And it looks like their hopes of escape have been dashed, as they have been caught, it is seemed, as they are at gunpoint at this unfortunate time. But perhaps maybe all is not lost, as the distraction has allowed the scorpion to grab the gun. However, with the firing shots, it somewhat gives away their location, a rather unfortunate circumstance. And Yuki grabs this log, which seems to have helped. However, instead of grabbing the gun from the fallen officer, they just continue to run. Possibly not the best move. And now they really are trapped, as there's now 10 guards, it looks like. And a rather brutal display here, as the scorpion is being beaten with this rifle. But she is strong-willed, as she doesn't give up the glare. And here we have the title card for the film, Female Prisoner number 701, Scorpion. I will admit that I have not seen the series, but out of the two that I have seen, which is this one and Jailhouse 41, I prefer 701. There's just a little bit more emotion I find in this film. And here we see the rest of the prisoners heading towards the shower and seemingly being punished for her actions. Of course, something I should note, as you can tell, there is quite a bit of nudity in this film. So if that is also not your bag, I would suggest maybe not watching the film. Though, as I said before, if you're listening to a commentary track, you've probably seen the film before. It is a rather fantastic film, in my opinion. And as we just see all these prisoners having to go through what would possibly be hell at this point, walking naked up these stairs and then having to climb over these bars, that would be quite hell. And of course, we see that the guards are absolute pervs as well, to sort of give us that sign that we shouldn't care about the guards. And now the warden is not impressed, as he is just scolding the guards for this. And he's just absolutely not impressed. And he's going to get his sort of revenge, or not really revenge, but his anger out. And you just see the guards being punished now. And now you're going to see prisoners get that same treatment. So they're going to be starved for 7 days. And you see the kitchen maids just being told to stop as they just start throwing the food down. I don't know if I would have thrown the food down or I would have just been like, nah, we're going to take this. Because I imagine that they should get food as well. And I don't imagine that the guards go home or anything. But I could be wrong. And here you see all the prisoners creating a ruckus for this unfair treatment, which may get them nowhere. It might get them somewhere. Who knows? And here you see these orange gowned bitches. You will find out that these orange gowned whores are just overbearing, but they'll get their comeuppance. And she's just kind of telling everyone, go on and eat. Again, these are sort of your rich bitches. They're not actually rich, but they're, higher pecking order than the average prisoner. And so they're kind of like, Yeah, we have special privileges, and we tell you what to do, and we don't suffer the same fate as all of you. And here we see the fate of the Scorpion as well as Yuki. They are put into some sort of solitary confinement while also being bound and not seeing very much sunlight. I do like the lighting here, how the window just sort of shines on them, and that's the only light that they get. Of course, I think these films, all four of them, were filmed in the span of 2 months, so that is quite impressive. And then you see the two communicating by hitting their heads against the wall, lightly tapping it to kind of show that they are both still alive. Of course, they might also have code, so they might actually understand what exactly they are communicating. And here we see that they are glad to see that the other is still alive. And of course, here we get the first instance of torture and just how nasty these orange suit girls can be. So you see, she's just taunting and just being a complete bitch, and then just pours the food on the ground. Because I suppose you're still supposed to feed prisoners. And then taunting how they feel cold. And you see the dripping water, so she just soaks this blanket in water. Just an absolute dick move here. And just drapes it over her. Terrible, terrible move. But that's not even the worst of what she will do. And of course, we get the cold stare and then the smile. And she does not take that well. And the guard just taunts her. Again, the guards are just complete dicks. Still showing no remorse. Quote unquote. And here we have the warden informing her that everyone's being tortured. And then you have this asshole just calling her a piece of shit because, he's a dick. And then they just leave her be. Again, it's a little weird that they're torturing everybody because and I could be wrong, but most prisoners don't care about other prisoners, I would imagine. So here we get the backstory of why she is in prison. Again, this is the film where she talks the most, out of the ones I've seen anyway. We find out that she's had a lover, but she has possibly been used, it seems, actually. Bit of a spoiler, of course. And that she really did care for this officer. And that she was in love. But one thing you should never do is break a woman who has nothing to lose. Well, that is a recipe for disaster. Again, the lighting and the color choice here is quite good. I rather enjoy it. And of course, the music is almost perfect. And again, the restoration of this film is fantastic. And then here you have what could be blood forming the circle, but it is unknown. And of course, who doesn't enjoy a good cigarette? So here we find out that there was a sting that he wanted help on. And sort of not the best move on her part. And it's probably danger here, as we can see that they've sort of figured her out. And so the Yakuza is not having fun. At least we think it's the. I would assume that it is the Yakuza. So they start to strip her, and it looks like they are about to have their way with her, which is probably not exactly what you want to happen, but an unfortunate event. Again, definitely a grindhouse film for sure. And of course, you can tell it's a 70s film because the 70s definitely have that sort of Wild West filmmaking where sort of there are no rules, so anything kind of goes. Of course, it's not too graphical in terms of things, as yes, we see her breasts, but we don't see anything far from that, as we see a lot of close-up shots. So I would assume there is at least some respect here, and it looks like they didn't get too far. Here we have the officer to the rescue. Interesting how he shoots at what looks like a non-locked door. So he's charging them with rape, which is just unfortunate. And then we see this nice sort of panel flip, and we get the reveal that he's a dirty cop and that he's working with the marijuana dealers. So he's given money. I'm not exactly sure how much, but it looks like a decent bunch. So now we find out that, of course, he's a dirty cop, and she is realizing this, and that she was used. So Sugami used her, and now she wants revenge because it's betrayal. She's been betrayed, so she wants that revenge. And of course, you find out that he's a dick because he's like, here's some money for your troubles. And he just purely doesn't give a shit. He's just like, here's some money. I'm peacing out. So it looks like each bill was about 10,000 yen. And it looked like he dropped about 7 there. So she got 70,000. But again, her heart's been shattered. So money is the least on her mind. She is straight up wanting revenge for this betrayal. And again, the color change here to show her anger building for that revenge. So here we have her hiding and spotting her target. And it looks like she hasn't changed her clothes because she wants him to know that she is pissed. And here we go. She's in the act of trying to murder him. Probably not the best move to do it right in front of the police station. But what can you do? Again, revenge is on her mind. And it looks like it's very shortly after the events. So here you have her trying to swipe with a knife, and the police just running right out to grab her. And just not caring. Her one goal is to get revenge, and she will do whatever it takes. But she's just not strong enough to take on about what looks like 8 cops. So we're now back into the present day as we see the Orange crew just watering this garden. And, feeling very privileged as they are putting on makeup, quote unquote, or at least using strawberries to redden their lips. And again, laughing how lucky they are. Of course it's hot. It's a metal lid. And here we see sort of their plan, because now we've been given that hint from the hot lid. So you sort of see exactly where this is going. As she just starts pouring it on her. So you've got this hot soup, and I can't imagine that the soup was actually hot for the scene, and so acting, hopefully, but anything is possible. I would imagine that she wouldn't have put up with that, because one thing that we find out about these films from interviews is that she wasn't going to do the film. And then she slowly was like, all right, I'll do it, but I don't want to say anything. So she has very limited dialogue throughout all the films, especially later on. And here we have, so she trips and she just gets soaked in scalding hot soup as an act of revenge. Quite impressive that she was able to do that by just with her teeth. Now we see that she gets some satisfaction from that. And then we can see the burns. And the rest of the Orange crew just showing up and showing concern for their teammate, I guess, because I don't think they all live in the same cell, if I remember correctly. And now the guards are here to be massive dicks and to quote unquote punish her. So pulling of the hair and just screaming at her. It's admirable that the character could remain silent for all this, because I imagine this would be painful. And then, of course, they put their batons in between the straps, which I imagine would tighten them. And then, of course, they start beating her with them. And you can see the enjoyment, which is just proving that they're just massive assholes, especially where they're poking her. It's just like, could you be any more bigger of dicks? And again, it's implied of what's happening. We don't really see it, but we know what's happening. And again, it's all brutal. And then they slap the shit out of her, which again is unfortunate. And of course, we get this camera action of this spinning, so hopefully no one gets a bit of vertigo from this scene. But, they're just like, you fucking bitch, please come clean and speak. But she doesn't make a single word, which is impressive. Like, even for the character. And it looks like she's just been beaten. Oh, nope, not quite beaten unconscious. She's barely conscious at this point, and she just gives them the glare. And here we are in Tokyo as we see what Sugumi is up to in the present day. It seems he's become somewhat of a big shot as he gets his own driver. And we sort of get this bad guy music going on as he is now going to this Soul and Harmony office. As we see that he is not only risen in the ranks of the Tokyo police, but he's also somewhat risen in the ranks in terms of the marijuana smuggling. And it looks like they've had a mole infiltrating and giving them information on Nami, or the Scorpion, more appropriately. And here we see him laughing as he just doesn't care. We see that he's on fast track for another promotion. So, there we go. And then we find out about the trial and how she just remains silent. And how there's a theory that there's still love, but no, it's pure hatred. And she's just biding her time because even testifying, it's like, are you going to believe me? No. So I'm going to bide my time to exact my revenge. And here we see that the boss has concerns that she could jeopardize his business. And then they have a plan to use an assassin. And it just so happens that this assassin has a connection, as he busted her many years ago. And so now a new player has entered the battlefield. So here we see in the lower depths of the cell during this rainy day, and they're in the sewing plant. And then we see that some people are just gambling. Here we go. And the call is even. And then you find out that they're dirty dice. So, of course, things don't go so well. And they say cheaters never win. But all is not quite what it seems, as we're about to see. There's nothing to bet. And here we have our new player, the assassin. Or is that the assassin? No, that's my apologies. I thought it was, but it's not. There's also another player as we'll find out. So, yes, it's revealed that they were, in fact, dirty dice. So she goes to roll. Asking if it's their final choice. And then she calls on their bullshit. And then a fight starts to begin. Because you can call them on their shit, doesn't mean they're going to like it. And then the broken scissors. And now they have their weapons. Again, the taunting is just lovely. And the guards come in now to be like, all right, break it up, fuck off. And then we have the shower scene. And this is probably the most brutal scene in the entire movie, as you're about to see. So the next round of girls are coming in. And of course, you have the orange shirts plotting revenge, trying to just be like, we need to get back at them. So, sort of going to plant a weapon on them is their idea. So, planting and then using the guards to take care of the rest is their plan, sort of as a scam. So, you can kind of see that the orange shirts also sort of offer themselves up to the guards, which is kind of how they have this sort of privilege in the prison system. But what's this? The scorpion has seen everything. And of course, the orange shirts are somewhat very selfish. So, of course, they try to push their weight around. The plan backfired. She's just like, what the hell happened? So she's trying to search, but it doesn't work. Then she notices who's in the shower room. She's like, that bitch. And she kind of goes mad. So she walks into the shower room, slams the door right in her face. And now you see that she has, I don't know what I would call that, piece of glass in her hand. I guess I'll call it a piece. I wanted to call it something else, but I couldn't think of it. And you see that her face is cut. And so she's just like, I'm going to kill you now. And the lighting choice here really brings out sort of the insanity that she is now sort of exhibiting, and how insane she has become. Is all she wants to do is exact her revenge. And sort of the cut in the face really adds to it. And then they're just like, knock it the fuck off. But it doesn't quite work because she's not paying attention. So she's just walking back, backing down. But she doesn't care because she has become insane, as her entire goal is just to kill the scorpion. She's told to stop, she swipes, and of course, just stabs the warden right in the eye. Who does a particularly good job of no selling the fact that he has a pane of glass or a shard of glass in his eye. And so he's just like, I'm going to kill you for stabbing me in the eye. So now there's sort of this alliance between these two, and she's being choked. She just falls. I'm not sure if she falls dead. And he's just like, discipline time, and the orange shirts are also no more. So they're all being forced to dig holes. And I'm not sure. Well, this would actually suck. And here we find out that they were, in fact, demoted. So they are all just blue shirts now, if you will. And as you can see, they've been digging for quite some time, as they now have quite the deep holes. I imagine that would take several hours. It's almost like they're digging their own graves. And then they're being told to fill the holes. So good job digging the holes, but now fill them back in. But I would think that filling them in would be the easy part. I could be wrong. I myself have never dug a hole with a shovel. And then they're told to start digging again. And we just get these glares. And look who's come to the prison. Perhaps maybe not the best move. Of course, looking as smug as ever. Oh, I was correct. That was the assassin the whole time. Whoops. My apologies. But little did they know somebody was looking on. And now there's the promise on parole early if she can succeed. So, yes, kill Matsu and you get out early. It is a bit weird that it's like, kill her, and it's like, why didn't you just get the warden to do it, kind of? But then again, maybe they don't know that he's a dirty cop at this point. So there is that sort of trying to do it in secrecy. But then again, there is this, you know, guard right behind him that could be listening to everything. But then again, I don't know how loud they're actually speaking, so who knows? Or perhaps maybe this guard is also a dirty guard. Although, based on the entire practice at this prison, you think that it is all just dirty cops and dirty guards. And of course, Matsu has now seen that he is there. And of course, he just looks back and just smirks arrogantly. She's just like, you son of a bitch. I will fucking kill you. So, we shall see how this plays out. Will the assassin successfully kill Matsu, or will Matsu get her revenge? And like I said, there seems to be some sort of allegiance happening between Matsu and the woman that sort of they were trying to frame. And here we are in the warden's office. Very weird how he's just sitting in the dark. You'd think he'd want a bit of light. Here he is looking over the file. Unsure why exactly. To throw her again into solitary confinement. And then we see the results of his eye. I'm surprised that it's so still kind of open and looking okay. Obviously, you've got the scarring to the left. Or is that the right? No, it's to the left of the eye. Or is it the right? I'm going to fight with myself all day over this. So here we have the scorpion in solitary confinement. Surprisingly, a bit more light in solitary confinement over what she was in before, which is a bit odd. And then we meet Kito, who thinks she can have a conversation here, but the scorpion is done talking. And here we have the realization of who she is. And sort of the infamy that she carries. The fun begins. I mean, she didn't really stab the warden in the eye. She just more avoided a stab. So, it's a bit odd that she's being called the one who did that. And then we see this light on the outside. Again, solitary confinement looks far more comfortable than what she was in before. So it's a bit odd that they would put her in a more comfortable position. And then sort of this offer of trying to keep her comfortable. After all, she has been beaten several times, so I would imagine that there would still be pain. And then sort of just leading the hand here, almost as if she just wanted the touch of somebody. And then, well, you can put two and two together to find out exactly what's going on here. There is no stopping this. Again, as much as how possibly disturbing this scene might be for some, the lighting effects are still quite good. And then the undressing. Again, this film isn't for everybody. It is very grindhousey, so some people may not be able to handle it, and I completely understand. But, um, yes. And of course, I want to point out again, sort of the restoration of this looks amazing because, again, it is a low budget 70s film, so I imagine it would take a lot of work to restore something like this as we see the two now making love. But one isn't quite showing emotion during it, but also being the more dominant of the two. Again, I can somewhat respect how they don't quite show everything, so it's not too graphic, but we definitely know what is going on. But again, you can appreciate that they're not showing any vagina shots and things of that nature. And then she's just standing there somewhat menacingly, which was interesting. But here we find out that it was a guard in there the entire time. So it was almost like she knew exactly what was happening. And we find out that this new guard enjoyed herself very much and that she wants to go back. That she just wants to feel the scorpion's touch once again. And then just slaps her. They just want her to be broken. But it seems like no matter what they do, nothing happens. Also, one thing that I like about the warden now that he has the eye wound, is that they've made one one side of the glass is much more darker than the other. So you can't really see the injury. So everyone's been told to climb up. I still find it very weird that they force everybody to start digging the hole and everything. Because we've already established that this does not break Matsu at all. She doesn't care about the other prisoners that much. Because none of that breaks her. So now we see that she's going through devil's punishment. And she's just okay. Which is that she has to continue to dig while everyone watches. I don't know why it's called the devil's punishment exactly, but that's just what it's called. Again, I have no idea if any of the punishments that we are seeing were any relatable or relatability to the late 60s slash early 70s. And there we see that she's still been in there far past sunset. And I like how they're using the spotlights to just make sure that she's there. And then we see that she might be possibly breaking. And they throw rocks at her. And we get the classic glare at this point, as we see it many, many, many times. I'm surprised she still has the energy to continue to dig, as I doubt they've given her any food at this point. And she is now starting to dig to the point where she is starting to get rocks. Not rocks, water. I don't know why I said rocks there. And then calling back all the other prisoners to the pit. Confess. You already know that she's done all these things, so what is she confessing? So, they're going to fill the hole. She's going to continue to dig. So, it's going to be a never ending cycle of having to dig. And she just stops. As we can clearly see, she just. Oh, I was going to say that she just doesn't care anymore, but nope, she continues on. Probably still not caring, mind you. And then we see that everyone is just kind of like, damn it. And that Yuki will not fill the hole. And then sort of Matsu sort of giving her the nod to dig the hole, even though Yuki just does not want to and feels bad. There's sort of that camaraderie between the two, and it's probably her only friend in the entire prison. And then sort of this circular shot going on of just everybody, and it goes a bit faster and faster and faster. Hopefully, again, nobody gets vertigo from this shot. And then all of a sudden, just everybody's digging again. At least they're taking shifts. I don't think the guards were expecting Matsu to not give up. Which is rather interesting. And of course, the former Orange crew is complaining. And now you see the shoveling directly on Matsu, because now we get some people who are just pissed. And Matsu's just like, fuck you, you stupid bitch, and hits a specific spot, causing her to fall. And it looks like she's hit her head against the rock, causing her to become unconscious. And we see the blood off the rock, so she has definitely split her head open. And then the sun glare from the water spot to give us a nice transition. Still digging, as we can see. And everybody else is just like, we've had enough. Please let us stop. We can't take this anymore. and we can see all the muck and the dirt on their faces as they've almost lost all hope. And of course, the guards not putting up with anyone's shit, just being like, work, there's no breaks. Meanwhile, Matsu, who's possibly gone at this for 24 hours, continues. And then we start getting all these other girls just collapsing from exhaustion. And somehow Matsu still continuing. Which is a testament to her will, because again, she's been at this for a lot longer. Guards just don't care. You shouldn't try bargaining with them. And of course, the guards are getting increasingly more violent towards the prisoners. Way too soon for you to die? I'm sorry, sir, but she's been digging a hole for 24 plus hours, possibly. And you're telling us it's too late for her to die? And it looks like they're choking her out, it would seem. I'm not sure if that was just a stick they were poking her with, or if it was one of those things where you can, like, hook a neck. And then Yuki coming to the rescue by just slicing the back of this guy's head with the shovel. Great effect here. I will admit that I love blood effects from the 70s. And of course, Yuki has now been shot. Possibly. I would assume she's died from this shot. Again, the red lighting really adds to it. And then Matsu sort of gets that second wind. But all the prisoners are just like, no, 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 no. Fuck you, beautiful matte painting background here. No, Yuki lives as she was only shot in the shoulder. And the guards are just getting their asses handed to them now from the shovels. And of course, the guards have lost complete control at this point. And then the call to riot. So they're grabbing any and all guards that they possibly can to use as hostage. And then Yuki sees that someone wanted to shoot Matsu, so she takes the bullet. And Matsu sees the shooter, or does she? So Yuki has now, or is slowly dying, unfortunately. And here we see that the assassin is still here to take the bullet, but then an ally has arrived. But all is not. And here we have the relatively sad scene. As Matsu loses her only friend. And Yuki being unable to speak, she writes who tried to kill Matsu. So Katagiri, or Katagi, I think it's pronounced, I could be wrong, is the one who tried to kill. So now Matsu has her target as she mourns the death of her friend. As lightning and rain, as it starts to rain, which makes things even more sad as Matsu carries Yuki away. It's kind of crazy just how much Matsu can endure as, again, she's been digging for over 24 hours and now she's carrying her dead friend away. And now all of the prisoners have sort of held themselves up. So now the bargaining between the prisoners and the guards begins. So they're just like, God damn it, they have hostages. The one-eyed gorilla. A great line. I don't know why they call him a gorilla, because he's not that big. Enough food for 60 people. And they are not impressed. So, the guards are very committed to not giving them any food. And then we have sort of this reverse, I'll call it sexual assault, as the prisoners are now assaulting the guards rather than the guards assaulting the prisoners. So that is a thing. Again, they do it somewhat tastefully as they don't show like vaginas and penis. So it's still a thing. Again, I can understand that some people may be very uncomfortable with scenes like this, but the 70s, again, were pretty wild for filming. I call it the last year where films could almost get away with whatever they wanted. Of course, that sort of came back in the mid 2000s to late 2000s and 2010s, but in a very different way. So now their kind of bargain is, if you surrender now, we'll not do a thing. This event will never have happened. Of course, the prisoners are calling complete bullshit to this. And now they're saying, or the assassin is like, no, 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 you're hitting the wrong person. Grab Matsu. Gnatsu. She's the one who's called all of this. But, again, she has an ally left. But then the point was raised. This is Matsu's fault. She was the one that was causing us issues. She's the one, or she's the reason we were digging holes in the first place. And again, the rain is really coming down now. And then there's demand for food. And then there's sort of that, if you don't give us food, um, these guys aren't gonna have balls anymore. And now you don't really see his eye anymore, though that is still a very nasty wound. It's very hard to tell how much time has passed, but I feel like he should still have stitches over his wound. I feel like a scar like that wouldn't heal so quickly. But the movie kind of makes it seem like maybe it's been a week. Maybe. So here we have Matsu entering the prisoner stronghold. And everybody's got guns and or shovels. Pay you back big time. And then it's like, yes, kick the shit out of her, let's go. Not sure what stripping has to do with kicking the shit out of somebody, but that's also a thing. So she's getting beaten with shovels, where we only see her face, and then she is strung up and being whipped. Sort of this. And then here comes what looks like a pipe, but could be a plank of wood. And then the shovels, the pulling of the hair. I would imagine would be the most painful. I don't know what it is, but hair pulling always seems to just be so goddamn painful. And then being just poked with guns. And of course, she's bleeding, now being hit with knees. Not sure what pulling her up and down would do exactly. I mean, obviously, it would make hitting her with knees and kicking her easily, but you're hitting her with sticks and with the back of guns. I imagine that would be just as painful as kicking her or hitting her with a knee. And now Katagi has the light, and she's just going to burn her, as lights were particularly hot back in the day. Even when I was growing up, they were still quite hot, which would have been, 20 years ago. So she's now getting burns. And of course, she's being mocked the entire time. Like I said, it was very weird that the guards would punish all the prisoners because Matsu doesn't care about all the other prisoners. The other prisoners don't care about anyone but themselves. So it's like, how is this supposed to make her crack? Obviously, it pissed them all off to do a riot. And then Matsu is threatening to kill. She's telling her, I'm going to kill you, and that she knows what's going on. And then, sort of that, I'll get them stirred up to kill you before you can kill me. I guess, sort of biting her hair to stop the pain. And now everyone's kind of gone to sleep. 'Cause sleep's important. And Matsu is unfortunately hanging there. All is not what it seems. Perhaps maybe not everyone is asleep. Again, it's kind of odd that people sleep while hanging on to things, as I imagine that would be quite difficult. Canister of gas. Gee, I wonder what that could be used for. So she starts spilling. Oh, wait, no, that's not gas. That's gunpowder. My apologies. I thought that was gas, but it's gunpowder. Which can still. No, it is gas. Why did I think it was gunpowder? My apologies there, folks. So here we see she's going to light a fire. But she's been caught. And then she's like, oh, fuck. Did you think that she couldn't kick you? So now, Katagi is fucked. She is doomed, as she is being touted as a traitor, and now she will take Matsu's place in terms of being beaten. So here we have Matsu being let free, and Katagi being hung up. And beaten, as I said before. And now they're like, yay, food. One-time offer of breakfast. So it's like, yay, breakfast. But did you really think you were going to get breakfast, ladies? You should know that that's a trap. It's a little odd that it's 3 against 60, and some of those 60s have 60 have guns. And then you find out that they don't give a shit about the hostages at all. And of course, Matsu is now going to cause a fire. Fire 1, and of course, many die. And of course, we also have the fire, so arrest everyone left alive. I don't think that's gonna work, Chief. The warehouse is now definitely set on fire. And of course, young Katagi is burnt alive. I'm sorry, but she has revenge on her mind. She will not save you. You are only meant to burn. And now she's really burning. because now she's directly in the fire. And I don't recall if she gets away. Do it now. Run, Matsu. Run. Let them fear the scorpion. So yes, the fire caused the perfect escape. Now they're counting all the prisoners. I'm surprised they've bandaged some of them up, considering they were trying to beat most of them. And the warden is like, no, I will not allow anyone to know about this. It's rather odd that they're trying to catch her and her specifically. Also, I love the look of 1970s Tokyo. Tokyo always looks magnificent to me. Fantastical. No matter which film you watch, no matter what decade you watch, or anything. So here we have Matsu killing as many targets as possible to get her revenge, and being as quick and mysterious as possible. And stalking her victims, which is quite incredible. Again, she strikes as swiftly as a scorpion does. So that's victim number 2. Again, we don't see a lot of Tokyo at night, but that brief shot was just perfect. I loved it. Again, the lighting throughout these scenes is really good, as we now see that she's taken out victim number 3. Again, very swift. And she just casually walks out to not raise any suspicion. And there are cuts that kill, but are very not noticeable. And here we have the boss. And Sugumi sitting here. Is panicking as he doesn't know what to do at this point. As she has escaped, she is killing people one by one, all to get to Sugumi. You were warned. You should have killed her when you had the chance, but you didn't, and now you will pay for it. But first, your boss is going to pay for it. Three of your executives are dead, but you are also about to become the dead. Enjoy your life while it lasts, good sir, because it's about to end. Very swiftly and very justly. Again, the blue lighting for the death scenes are very nice. And then you see that she has now hung him from the building. So now everyone is definitely aware that he or that she is there. Also, the hanging by phone cord, that's some strong phone cord. At least I think that's phone cord. Though that is really long phone cord as well, so it might be rope in fact. So now Sugumi is panicked. He was gonna smoke, but can't smoke because he's too nervous. And there's the warden now following Segumi. Now they're outside the police station. Or is there? They must do it inconspicuously, after all. Not impressed. They fully know that she is going to kill him. She is going to get her revenge, and they can't do anything about it, because otherwise, it'll be too late. Everyone will know that she escaped, and it makes them look bad, so it would be disastrous for their reputation. So they know either she's going to die or he's going to die. As she takes out her knife. Very odd that her knife would have a sheath on it. And they're trapped in the elevator. Not a lot of room to move. So it's a gun to a knife fight. So it seems like Nami's situation, the scorpion, is at a disadvantage. Because again, a gun and a knife. Which one will win? While it is still close quarters, a gun can fire a lot quicker than you can lunge. Of course, getting closer is not exactly the best idea. Of course, she drops the knife, and we see the gun. Brushing her hair with it, which is odd. Little bit cocky, slapping her around. Yes, she does hate you that much. But also, you shouldn't play around. You should end things before they go too far. Your cockiness is not exactly the best thing right now. Clearly, he hasn't learned. And here we go. She starts to bite his tongue, dropping his gun. Like the idiot that he is. So now, it's just a knife fight, where only one of the participants has a knife. Congratulations, you idiot. So, he has now been stabbed in the leg. He is at a very clear disadvantage at this point. He is bleeding not only from his mouth, but also his leg, and also he can only limp. So now we have this classic sort of 80s horror, late 70s sort of walking, stalking prey type thing, although she's also running because she knows that he can still possibly get away. Doesn't know where she is. And again, a deep wound, and for whatever reason, he tries to clean his mouth and then tries to put a tourniquet around his leg. But she was behind him the entire time. So not only does he have a leg wound bleeding, but now he has a wound in his back. And is third time the charm? Nope, gonna go in for a fourth. So that's now 4 times. And she's just like, I'm gonna stick this one, you asshole. This time you're getting stuck through. 'Cause I don't even give a shit. You are dying here by my hands, and you may try to kill me. But if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me, you piece of shit. Is exactly what she was saying there. But he wasn't successful. I'm sure that he was going to try to push her over the edge. He just throws up the knife and screams and then falls to his death. There's actually a really nice knife shot there with it just flying and going above the flag and then falling directly back down. And he just falls down dead. She has successfully gotten her revenge. And you just get a close up of his now dead face and her glaring at his dead corpse. As she is now somewhat satisfied, and of course, she is now back in prison. And that's where our film ends, with her walking back in. The cells seem rather empty, which is odd, but what can you do? And that, my friends, is the end of female prisoner number 701, Scorpion. Of course, there are 3 more films in the series, and we will get to those at another time. Thank you all for watching.